mountain bike fitness, the thing we all strive for to make the days on the bike easier, longer, and just much more fun. But none of us are getting any younger, and in the world of online advice, it's difficult to know exactly what to listen to. For example, is riding our bike once every 2 weeks enough to maintain fitness? Is there something we should be doing off the bike that can help us on the bike? And is there anything we're doing wrong that we could easily change to improve our health and fitness? Well, to answer these questions and more, there's someone I'd like you to meet. So let's go for a ride and I'll introduce you all. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're in the Forest of Dean and I've got a special guest.
Hey, it's Ben here from the Strength Factory. Some of you may have followed me before or seen me on podcasts and things like that, but basically I'm a strength coach, a performance coach, a fitness coach for mountain bikers, and I'm all about just helping you to ride further, climb faster and have more fun on bikes.
Awesome. Nice. So Ben, as a dad with a full-time job, why should I be focused on strength and fitness?
Well, there's two sides to this, Ollie. Number one, there's being a dad and being a healthy human, okay? And whilst everyone here is a mountain biker and you want to enjoy your riding more and be able to do cool things on bikes, the other side of it is just being a healthy human and, you know, being there for your family and getting old the right way, okay? So there's two sides. There's the on the bike and the off the bike side to it. And they're both super important, really. And the simple thing is that you've heard the phrase before, use it or lose it. And often we get to this age, I'm in my mid-40s, and life gets in the way. Maybe you had kids or stress and that sort of thing, and you stop using it, and then the fitness declines, the strength declines, and then your freedom to go and enjoy riding declines. It becomes less fun, let alone the longevity side of it off the bike, just being a healthy human who wants to get old in the right way.
Yeah, sure. And what would you say to the old adage, the best way to get fit for mountain biking is just by riding your bike? Is there any truth to that?
So look, there is and there isn't, you know? And this is one that's cropped up on my social media comments 100 times. I'm trying to tell people, yeah, do some squats, do some press ups. And someone always goes, just ride your bike more. And I'm like, yeah, well done. But to a point, yes, one of the biggest levers you can pull for your bike fitness is to ride more. But if I said to you, Ollie, ride more, you're going to say, how? Because I've got a full-time job in the NHS and a young child and all that sort of thing. And most people watching, you would ride more if you could.
Sure.
But can you go mountain biking in your lunch break? Can you go mountain biking before work? I mean, maybe you could, but you're probably not going to. You know what I mean? There's all these...
You know me well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't, you know. But you know what you could do in your lunch break is you could go to the gym, or if you're at home you could do some bodyweight training in the garden or the garage. You could get on a turbo trainer, you could get 45 minutes on a road bike or gravel bike or something. And when you put all these things together, they can make a massive difference to your riding and your life. And so saying just ride more isn't helpful, because if you could ride more, you would.
So Ben, in your experience, what are the biggest sort of mistakes that people make when they start a training program?
So there's a couple of things I see quite regularly going on for these over 40s riders. And the first one is not starting at the start, which sounds a bit strange, but everyone always focuses on the end goal, like the riding trip or the race or whatever you're doing and where you want to get to. But they often are starting at the wrong place. They're starting at a level that they were maybe at in their 20s or 30s and stuff like that, and not really appreciating where you're at now. Yeah. And an analogy that I've used a load of times on like podcasts and stuff is Google Maps. Like, how did we get here today? To get here to the forest, we put the forest in and the start location. Without those two, you can't plan the route. And it's the same with your training, is that people are always focused on that end point, but they're not really appreciating where they are now. So first of all, get an understanding, what is your fitness like compared to your peers, compared to what you used to be? how strong are you? How bad has your mobility got because you sit for 8 hours every day? You know, what's your weight? What's your health? And how much actual time and energy do you have? All of these make up the start point that then mean you're going to start at the right level for you. And I think a lot of riders, especially, you know, motivated, like type A personalities, can go in at like 100 miles an hour. You see it every January. Short-lived intensity that doesn't lead to long-term consistency.
Doesn't last.
And it doesn't last. And guess what? By the spring, by the summer or whatever, they're not really any fitter after that, you know. And tied closely to that, the second thing that again you see a lot of is too much intensity. And in particular when people maybe jump on the turbo train and go Zwift in the winter and stuff like that, and all those apps, they kind of draw you into this gamification, trying to beat the last one and stuff like that, and before you know it you're doing 3 lots of intervals a week and stuff like that, which for a week or two you'll make some really great progress, Ollie, and you're going to feel like an absolute boss. Awesome, I'm going to be a machine, I'll be like Tadej Pogacar or Tom Pidcock by summer. But the reality is that without the easier miles and the more moderate training, is that you're quickly going to plateau, you're not going to make any progress, and all you're going to be doing in those sessions is getting hot and sweaty, getting tired and burning some calories, which might be fine for you, that's fine. If you actually want to be a better rider, then your training needs to be more varied than that.
So I've been doing your over 40s program for the last few weeks and it's been a lot of fun. But what inspired you to make a program for the over 40s rather than a, say, 25-year-old?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we're all humans, okay? And we're kind of put together the same, but as many of the people watching will appreciate, as we get older, things just change a bit in terms of time, energy and bandwidth and your capacity to recover from this sort of thing.
Definitely.
Especially when you're coming back to it, where maybe your fitness has lapsed a bit because of life getting in the way. And so the main difference is when I built this program, and the main approach is that number one, it's a more gradual start, okay? I talked earlier about starting at the right place. This is trying to start you in the right place and giving a lot of flexibility and freedom to tailor it to exactly where you're at, okay, with different versions of exercises. And really, it's thinking about that longevity as well by just balancing out the risk to reward. You know, so mountain biking is already kind of risky. Like we've all hurt ourselves at some point mountain biking.
Sure.
Touch wood, not too bad yet. So why take risk in the gym as well? You know, when actually we can get really strong with high reward, low risk exercises. And so what I mean by that is that if you're starting training after years away from the gym, or maybe you've never been in there, and maybe you sit all day at work, or you know, and your mobility isn't great, which is going to be super common, then it's probably not the best idea to go straight into a program full of heavy deadlifts and barbell back squats and stuff.
Sure.
You know? And I'm not saying that you're fragile. I'm not saying that riders over 40 can't do those things, because if you want to, with the right training, the right preparation, you absolutely can. I'm just saying it's probably not the best place to start. And so, so I'm very much about, let's start at the start, let's play the long game, let's do some body weight work, let's move in different directions, let's focus on balance and control and learning to move better and building strength that way before then turning it up and progressing on as you get stronger.
So we focus a lot on aspects such as strength and training, but how important are other aspects like sort of stress relief and getting a proper night's sleep?
Massive. Like, it's as simple as that. Nothing is in isolation, Ollie. You know, yes, you need to be strong and you need to work on some, you know, your aerobic and your cardiovascular fitness, and that's going to transfer to the bike. But if you're not looking after yourself the rest of the time, it's going to be a real uphill battle to make consistent progress on those things, you know, to recover from training and to actually get fitter and stronger and build some muscle and things. And one of the things I say is that people are they're always focused on that 1 hour, like in the gym or doing intervals, like what should I do for that hour, Ben? And that is important, but there's 100 things you could do in that hour. But actually the other 23 hours are so important. It's that healthy lifestyle, is getting a good amount of sleep, you know, which is is massive for your energy levels, your mental health, your physical health, and your ability to recover and then ride again and be consistent. Similarly, stress, which is obviously a massive topic, and I'm always I really think, oh, should I even say anything? Because saying to someone who's stressed out, be less stressed,
calm down,
it's unhelpful.
Definitely.
I appreciate, because we've all got some very real stresses in our life, but trying to spot them early, trying to minimize stresses in your life and remove them as much as possible, and then putting things in place like sleep, nutrition and exercise, maybe some breath work and things like that to help moderate that stress and keep on top of it, is going to be massive for you. And then, as I touched on there, nutrition.
Perfect.
Like, you know, you are what you eat. And look, in your 20s, you can get away with KFCs and Mackie D's and going to the gym, and you're still going to make some progress probably. I'm not saying it's ideal, I'm not saying you should do that, but again, as we get older, you just got to pay more attention to this stuff and thinking about the long game, thinking about longevity. And people like to overcomplicate everything, especially online. They like to polarize everything. Oh, vegan or carnivore or this or high carb or low carb or keto. And frankly, it's all nonsense. Like, if you just boil it down to what's important, it's just eat real food. Most of the time. Yeah? More often than not, just eat food that your grandparents would recognise as food. It's grown in the ground, it's vegetables, it's fruit, it's nuts, it's seeds, it's meat, it's dairy, it's all of those things should make up the bulk of your diet, and then drink water most of the time.
I guess, like you said, everyone's looking for that quick fix, the quick diet or the quick training tip that they've seen on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But actually it's more about, I think that your words were, doing the right thing most of the time. Do more things right than wrong most of the time. And and on that, if maybe you're someone watching this who maybe you're overweight or you're not so healthy and you eat a lot of processed foods and you're not training, we can't just turn your whole life upside down in one go. Like when I work with people one-to-one, I never do that, because that is the definition of short-term intensity, and they can't sustain it, it's too much. So start with one thing at a time. Let's start with, I'm gonna just try and drink more water, get to bed a bit earlier, get more steps in, start there. And then you nail that for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to start introducing some strength training, like once or twice a week for 20 minutes, half an hour, doing some body weight work. And I'm going to try and get a bit more protein at breakfast. Make that stick, do the next thing. And then all of a sudden it's very manageable and realistic. And you can make huge changes, because everyone overestimates what they can achieve in the next 30 days. They underestimate what they could achieve in the next year. And that's what I want to get across, is that message of consistency and that long-term view, which isn't sexy, it's not great for the algorithm, but I don't care about that. I'm just going to be authentic and tell you what works, and not what some influencer is going to tell you on some reel. I guess it's investing now for something you're not going to see the benefits of for another 10, 20 years. I mean, you will feel the benefits as you go, but you're really going to notice it in that time frame.
And you'll feel the benefit this summer, you absolutely will. And you'll feel the benefit in the autumn, and every time you ride your bike, hopefully, if you're doing the right things and if you're chipping away, you're going to feel it. But another analogy I've used in the past is, think of health and fitness and nutrition and training and riding and life. It's like your pension. It compounds. So if you start making pension payments now by eating a bit better, drinking some more water, getting to bed earlier, doing some press ups, doing some lunges, and some riding your bike a little more maybe, or maybe just structuring your riding so you actually improve a bit, then those things compound together over time. And guess what? You know, at the end of it, you're in a lot better place. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't thinking about even my 40s or 50s, and who does? And you shouldn't, like, who cares? But at this point in life, and I know we've got similar audiences around our age and in their 40s and 50s maybe, you probably need to be thinking about this stuff. And if you don't think about it now, then you're definitely going to be thinking about it in a few years, when you're not very fit, you're not very strong, mountain biking is less fun, and health problems creep in.
So we've talked a lot about the importance of training and lifestyle, but what can we do whilst we're actually on the bike that can help improve fitness?
So I think the first thing to do is to, number one, say mountain bike is still supposed to be fun, and not every ride needs to be a training ride. I'm not saying that, okay? But I think most riders would benefit from spending a little bit of time doing some more specific work on the bike. And the thing that's missing for most people is that low intensity aerobic riding. And
is this the zones, the lower zones, is that right?
Yes, exactly. That's generally called like a zone 2 intensity, where you're riding at a very easy pace. So you'd be able to talk like we are now. You'd be able to, most people would be able to breathe through their nose with their mouth shut. There's no burn in your legs, and you should be able to hold that sort of intensity for a couple of hours. And that sort of riding, that low intensity work, it literally forms like a foundation of fitness that you can then build your endurance on for longer rides, but where you can also build that more high intensity fitness on top of it as well, if you want to go and like race, or if you just want to have a bit more punch on the trails as well. And when you just do that intensity all the time, like earlier I talked about endless swift intervals and stuff, without that zone 2 work, that's when you hit the plateau in your fitness and in your training, where you're just getting tired, but it doesn't go up because you're trying to build this tower of fitness, but you're building it on sand, there's no foundation. So I think if you can try and carve out a bit of time to do some of that low level aerobic training on a weekly basis, you're going to get a huge return for it. Now, this is the tricky bit, is that to get the best results, you do need some time. And that is the difficult bit. Ideally, I'd love for you to get out for like 90 minutes or 2 hours, like once a week. But I know that's very difficult. So if you're starting out, you'll definitely make progress from like 45 minutes to 90 minutes. You can still make progress riding on that low intensity for those shorter periods of time. And the other thing I'll say about it is people, they'll start this sort of training. They'll watch a podcast or they'll read an article that I've written, and they'll go and try and do aerobic riding, and they'll either come back and say, Ben, it's way too easy, it can't possibly work. Like, how can this easy riding make me faster? And the science just couldn't be clearer about how this is effective, and this is what all the top level athletes do, and they kind of think, I'm a 50-year-old blooming accountant or whatever, I don't need low intensity riding, but Tom Pidcock does, and and all the top enduro racers, they all need low intensity riding, and that's how they build their fitness. And then the other thing is that people will go for a ride, and as soon as it kicks up the slightest incline, the heart rate shoots up, and they're no longer aerobic, and they say, this riding is too high, it's impossible, I can't do these rides. And I say, well, you're the person who needs this the most, because that shows that your aerobic fitness is poorly developed, okay? And so you need to either find a flatter route or just really go to your easiest gear, suck up your pride and go as slow as you need to get that adaptation. And if you do stick with that consistently over a period of weeks and months, then again, the return is huge in terms of your ability to ride all day and to recover between efforts and just to have more fun on bikes.
So there's hope for me yet?
Well, yeah, there's hope for everybody, like we're riding around here and you've got some great base level of fitness, okay? But if you want to get that bit fitter, then we just need to put in that bit of consistent work, because I believe everyone watching this can be a fitter, stronger and faster rider. You can all improve if you just chip away at a few basics over the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, sounds good. So it's been amazing meeting and riding with you today. Thanks for all your insights on strength, fitness and training. Where can people find you?
So I'd love you to give me a follow, Strength Factory here on YouTube. And likewise, I've had a great time today, Ollie. I've been following the channel for a while. So if you're here because you follow Strength Factory, you're one of my subscribers, then check out Ollie and Bike and Beyond as well. Make sure you drop them a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. And we should probably do this again sometime.
Lovely, awesome.
Cheers.